Some sedans look like a good deal, until they leave you stranded with thousands in repairs. But what if you could avoid the worst of the worst before it's too late? Backed by Consumer Reports and real owner complaints, these are the 20 worst sedans that nobody should buy. Starting at number 20, the Chrysler 200. The Chrysler 200 entered the market with bold claims: a sleek design, high-end interior finishes, and a price tag under $23,000. On paper, it was Chrysler's return to relevance. In reality, it was a mechanical headache wrapped in chrome. Consumer Reports consistently ranked the 200 at the bottom of its segment. The biggest problem? That infamous 9-speed automatic transmission. Owners reported hard shifting, hesitation, and total failure, often before 60,000 miles. Several TSBs were issued, but none truly fixed it. Repairs could climb past $2,000. Things didn't improve under the hood. The standard 2.4-liter Tiger Shark engine came with complaints ranging from engine stalling to excessive oil consumption. The 2015 model year alone logged thousands of reports for sudden power loss, many at highway speeds. Interior quality falls apart fast. Despite its upscale look, trim pieces peel, infotainment systems freeze, and the rear seats offer barely any legroom. Visibility is among the worst in class, turning parking into a gamble. Depreciation? Brutal. Even well-kept examples struggle on the used market. Dealerships offload them cheap, and buyers still walk away. By 2017, Chrysler quietly killed the model, and most owners were glad to see it go. But if you think this was Chrysler's biggest flop, wait until you see the next sedan. It's still on the road, and still making drivers miserable. At number 19, the Mitsubishi Mirage G4. The Mitsubishi Mirage G4 is one of the most affordable sedans you can buy new, but it's also one of the most regretted. With a starting price under $17,000, it lures in budget buyers, then delivers one of the worst driving experiences in the segment. Its 1.2-liter 3-cylinder engine produces just 78 horsepower. That's not a typo. Merging onto the highway feels like a countdown to panic, and the CVT only makes things worse. Loud, unrefined, and slow to respond. Acceleration tests rank it among the worst-performing cars sold in North America. Consumer Reports slammed the G4 for poor handling, weak braking, and noisy suspension. Inside, it's more punishment than comfort. Thin, unsupportive seats, zero sound insulation, and tech that feels closer to 2009 than 2024. Safety features? Basic at best, with below-average crash ratings from the IIHS. And once you buy it, good luck selling it. Depreciation hits fast, and resale demand is near zero. Even with great gas mileage, the Mirage G4 ends up costing more in missed opportunities than it saves at the pump. But the next sedan didn't just waste your money, it wasted Chrysler's entire comeback plan. At number 18, the Dodge Dart. The Dodge Dart was meant to mark Dodge's return to the compact sedan segment. With bold styling, a sporty stance, and a starting price around $16,500, it looked like a strong alternative to Honda and Toyota. Instead, it became one of Dodge's shortest-lived and most frustrating releases in recent memory. Under the hood, the Dart offered 3 engines: the 2.0-liter Tiger Shark, the 1.4-liter Turbo, and the 2.4-liter Multi-Air. Each had issues, but the real nightmare came from the dual-clutch transmission in the turbo models. Jerky shifts, hesitation, and early failures plagued owners. Complaints piled up before 50,000 miles, and repairs often topped $2,200. Consumer Reports gave the Dart rock-bottom reliability scores, flagging problems like faulty electronics, touchscreen failures, weak air conditioning, and malfunctioning engine sensors. The cabin looked decent, but buttons broke, panels rattled, and materials wore out fast. By 2016, Dodge quietly axed the model. Resale value tanked, and many used car lots won't even touch them. It promised sportiness and refinement, but delivered recalls and regrets. And coming up next, a mid-size sedan that burns oil, stalls in traffic, and still somehow sold by the millions. At number 17, the Chevrolet Malibu. The Chevrolet Malibu once held a reputation as a safe, reliable family sedan. But by the time the 2016 to 2018 models rolled out, that reputation had started to crack, literally and financially. One of the biggest issues? The 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. Owners reported excessive oil consumption, power loss, and engine stalling, sometimes at highway speeds. Combine that with throttle lag and turbo lag, and the driving experience goes from smooth to sketchy fast. Consumer Reports flagged multiple drivetrain and electrical problems, while bulletins cited faulty fuel injectors and transmission hesitation. Many owners faced full transmission failure before 80,000 miles, with repair bills climbing past $3,000. The infotainment system wasn't much better. Screen freezes, Bluetooth drops, and full system crashes were common, and replacements weren't always covered under warranty. Interior materials also felt cheap for a car starting around $21,600. Resale value practically nosedives. These models depreciated fast and were quickly pushed out of rental fleets and dealership inventories. It had the look of a practical commuter, but fell apart before the commute even ended. But if you think the Malibu was bad, the next sedan was so flawed, it had owners ditching it before the first oil change. At number 16, the Hyundai Sonata. The 2011 to 2014 Hyundai Sonata looked like a game changer. Sharp styling, solid features, and a price tag starting around $20,400. For a while, it was one of Hyundai's best-selling sedans. But then, the engine failures started. At the heart of the issue is the 2.4-liter GDI four-cylinder engine, which suffers from metal debris left behind during manufacturing. That debris can block oil flow, causing the engine to seize without warning, sometimes at highway speeds. Hyundai eventually issued a recall, but by then, thousands of engines had already failed. Consumer Reports marked the Sonata's reliability as below average during this run. Even after engine replacements, owners reported excessive oil consumption, knocking noises, and sudden loss of power. In some cases, failures happened under 60,000 miles, well within the powertrain warranty. The problems didn't stop under the hood. Electrical glitches, steering column issues, and suspension wear all cropped up earlier than expected. Inside, trim pieces aged poorly, and the touchscreen infotainment was prone to freezing and crashes. Depreciation also took a hit once the recalls made headlines. Many used car buyers now avoid these model years entirely. It was supposed to elevate Hyundai's reputation. Instead, it became a case study in how fast goodwill can evaporate. But if you think engine failure is bad, the next sedan has brakes that randomly give up at highway speed. At number 15, the Chevrolet Cruz. The Chevrolet Cruz was marketed as a smart, efficient compact for everyday drivers, with a starting price under $17,000 and fuel economy nearing 38 miles per gallon on the highway. But what looked like a budget-friendly commuter quickly became a reliability nightmare. The 1.4-liter turbocharged engine is the star of the horror show. It's notorious for coolant leaks, cracked pistons, failed PCV valves, and head gasket issues. Many owners reported misfires and loss of power before hitting 70,000 miles, with some replacing engines entirely by their third mechanic visit. Transmission issues weren't far behind. The 6-speed automatic suffered from hard shifts, jerking, and complete failure in early models. Owners often found themselves facing $3,000 repair bills for a car that wasn't even 5 years old. Consumer Reports routinely placed the Cruz near the bottom of the compact car segment for reliability. Interior components didn't help either. Cheap trim, electrical problems, and infotainment bugs made daily driving feel more like a constant gamble. By the time GM discontinued the Cruz in 2019, its resale value had already plummeted. Today, it's one of the most avoided used compacts on the market. At number 14, the Nissan Ultima. The 2013 to 2014 Nissan Ultima looked like a solid mid-size sedan. Sharp exterior, roomy cabin, and a competitive starting price around $22,000. It should have been a hit. Instead, it became one of the most complained about Ultimas ever built. At the center of the problem is Nissan's CVT transmission. Owners reported everything from sudden jerking and delayed acceleration to complete failure, all before 50,000 miles. In many cases, replacements were needed multiple times. Nissan issued extended warranties, but for many drivers, the damage was already done. Consumer Reports flagged the Ultima's transmission performance as a serious reliability issue, but the problems didn't stop there. Headlight reflector degradation turned nighttime driving into guesswork, and to make things worse, the automatic emergency braking system would randomly activate at highway speeds, causing panic stops at 70 miles per hour with no warning. Interior quality also fell short. Cheap plastics, flimsy center consoles, and early wear on seat fabrics made the cabin feel less refined than competitors. Combined with rapid depreciation and below-average owner satisfaction, these Ultimas now sit low on used car shopping lists. It had the name recognition, but not the reliability to back it up. But the next sedan wasn't just unreliable, it made luxury buyers question why they ever trusted the badge. With reliability dropping and repair bills rising, is buying a new sedan even worth it anymore? Or are we better off going electric, used, or just Ubering everywhere? Let us know in the comments. At number 13, the Buick Lacrosse. The Buick Lacrosse was pitched as a premium American sedan, sleek, quiet, and loaded with upscale features. With a starting price around $33,000, it promised luxury at a discount. But buyers soon realized they weren't getting Lexus quality. They were getting GM leftovers dressed in chrome. Early model years were plagued with transmission issues that appeared as early as 60,000 miles. Owners reported harsh downshifts, delayed engagement, and full-blown transmission failures. Repair costs regularly exceeded $3,800, and even replacement units weren't always reliable. Consumer Reports gave the Lacrosse poor marks for long-term reliability, especially in models equipped with the 3.6-liter V6. Electrical problems were constant, from dashboard malfunctions to total infotainment shutdowns. Several recalls were issued for faulty airbags, power steering loss, and even random engine stalling. Inside, the Lacrosse looked premium, but cheap materials aged quickly. Door trims separated, center consoles rattled, and the touchscreen often lagged or froze completely. Resale value? Practically non-existent. These models depreciated faster than most mid-size sedans in their class, and used car buyers tend to skip them entirely. But if you think American luxury struggled, the next sedan proves even German engineering can crash and burn. At number 12, the Volkswagen Jetta. The 2019 Volkswagen Jetta was marketed as the practical, fuel-efficient sedan for people who wanted a little European refinement without the Audi price tag. With a starting price around $19,500 and up to 40 miles per gallon on the highway, it seemed like a smart buy until you actually drove one. Consumer Reports gave the 2019 Jetta a below-average reliability rating, citing major concerns with its braking system and in-car electronics. In emergency stop tests, the Jetta took over 183 feet to come to a halt, much longer than segment averages, raising serious safety concerns. Performance was another letdown. The base 1.4-liter turbo engine feels sluggish, with slow throttle response and weak mid-range torque. The ride is uninspiring, and the steering feels overly light, removing any sense of driver confidence. Interior quality also took a hit. Volkswagen stripped down the base trims with cheap plastics, hard-touch surfaces, and bare-bones infotainment. Most desirable features, like adaptive cruise control or lane assist, were locked behind higher trims, pushing the price well above its advertised value. Even resale has suffered, as newer rivals from Honda and Hyundai offer better tech, more power, and higher safety scores. But if you thought this was disappointing, the next sedan takes premium badge budget build to a whole new level. At number 11, the Jaguar XE. Jaguar built the XE to claw into the luxury sedan market, but instead, it clawed into its owners' wallets. Behind the polished badge was a car riddled with flaws from day one. The Ingenium diesel engine became infamous for DPF clogging, poor throttle response, and abrupt stalling, sometimes under 50,000 miles. The gasoline engines didn't fare much better, with widespread complaints of turbo failures, electrical bugs, and transmission hesitation. Consumer Reports gave the XE some of the lowest reliability ratings in its class. Even the 2016 launch models suffered from poor panel alignment, rough idling, and infotainment systems that crashed mid-drive. Owners also reported erratic warning lights and tech features that worked when they felt like it. Inside, the XE doesn't hold up. Rear seats are tight, the trunk is barely usable, and the so-called premium materials wear out fast. Factor in high maintenance costs and slow parts availability, and the XE quickly goes from upscale to unmanageable. Despite its sporty image, this Jaguar aged like spoiled milk, and resale values followed. But the next sedan didn't just lose performance, it lost purpose. A car so underpowered, it turned highway driving into a full-time hazard. At number 10, the Genesis G70. The Genesis G70 was supposed to be Korea's answer to German sports sedans, a sharp, powerful alternative to the BMW 3 Series and Audi A4, with a price tag that turned heads. But behind the polished exterior and luxury badge was a sedan loaded with headaches. Consumer Reports flagged the G70 for below-average reliability, especially in the 2019 to 2021 models. The biggest complaint? Transmission issues. Owners reported jerky gear shifts, rough downshifting, and total transmission failure, some before hitting 30,000 miles. The dual-clutch setup in the 2.0T models was particularly bad, with hesitation during acceleration and poor stop-and-go behavior. Then came the electronics. Infotainment freezes, backup camera malfunctions, and dashboard warning lights became routine complaints. Some drivers reported full system reboots while driving, never a good sign in a car that's supposed to feel premium. Interior quality looked solid at first glance, but didn't hold up over time. Trim pieces rattled, seat materials wore quickly, and the tech suite aged faster than the car itself. Even with a long warranty, frequent dealership visits wore owners down. It promised luxury and performance, but delivered frustration and repairs. The Genesis G70 looked ready for prime time. Instead, it burned through goodwill just as fast as it burned through gears. At number 9, the Infiniti Q50. The Infiniti Q50 didn't just disappoint. It showed how quickly a luxury badge can lose its shine. Built to take on the German big dogs, it came packed with promises of performance and tech. What owners got instead was a masterclass in frustration. Base models came with a 3.7-liter V6 that sounded good on paper, but delivered harsh shifts and sluggish throttle response. The optional 2.0-liter turbo wasn't much better, plagued with turbo lag, poor fuel economy, and a power band that felt more guesswork than engineering. Then came the real headache, the electronics. The Q50's infamous dual-screen infotainment system was laggy, glitchy, and froze more than a cheap laptop. Owners reported constant system crashes, Bluetooth failures, and software bugs that never seemed to get fixed. And don't get started on the steer-by-wire system. So unpredictable, it felt like the car had a mind of its own. Build quality, all show, no go. Cheap plastics creaked from day one, seats wore fast, and panel gaps looked like they were measured by eye. Repairs were frequent, expensive, and often repeated. The Q50 didn't just miss the mark, it turned luxury into liability. And the worst part? It looked fast, standing still, because that's exactly what it ended up doing. At number 8, the Maybach 57. The Maybach 57 wasn't just expensive, it was extravagance, engineered into a liability. At over $370,000, it promised private jet luxury. What it delivered instead was jaw-dropping depreciation and maintenance bills that could bankrupt royalty. Under the hood sat a 5.5-liter twin-turbo V12 built to glide, but when it broke hard. A replacement water-cooled alternator cost nearly $7,000. Air suspension failures? $4,000 per corner. And unlike other high-end brands, few mechanics even knew how to work on one without phoning Germany. Build quality was inconsistent, with panel gaps on six-figure cars and electronics that aged like milk. The command infotainment system was already outdated by the time it hit showrooms, and failures were common. Consumer complaints ranged from malfunctioning electronics to leaks in the panoramic roof. But the real killer was resale. In just a few years, values plummeted by over 80%, with lightly used Maybachs selling for less than a new BMW 5 Series. Mercedes quietly pulled the plug in 2012 after losing an estimated $400,000 per unit. It was meant to challenge Rolls-Royce. It ended up in classified ads next to used Cadillacs. Luxury doesn't mean much when your backseat massage costs more than a college semester. At number 7, the Audi A6. The 2019 Audi A6 looked like it had everything: sleek design, high-tech features, and that signature German refinement. But under the surface, it was quietly bleeding owners dry. The biggest problem? The 48-volt mild hybrid system. Audi packed the A6 with complex electrics that frequently failed, especially the alternator and starter generator units. Owners reported sudden dashboard blackouts and total system shutdowns, often before 60,000 miles. When the power cuts out mid-drive, luxury doesn't mean much. Consumer Reports downgraded the A6's reliability due to these electronic issues, but it didn't stop there. Some units suffered from piston scuffing, bearing wear, and premature engine failure, with repair costs easily climbing above $8,000. The cabin, while visually impressive, came with its own quirks. The dual touchscreen interface was flashy but laggy and glitch-prone. HVAC and media controls regularly froze, forcing full resets while driving. Even the brake pedal feel was criticized, grabby at low speeds, vague at higher ones. Despite its upscale image, the A6 earned a reputation for being more complicated than comfortable, and more fragile than functional. Prestige turned into pressure when every warning light meant another $1,000 guess. At number 7, we have the 2018 to 2023 Hyundai Elantra, powered by the surprisingly tough 2.0L new MPI inline-4. Sure, it's an unassuming compact sedan, but here's what makes it special. Beneath that humble hood lies a non-turbo Atkinson cycle workhorse built explicitly for longevity. Running the Atkinson cycle means lower internal stress, reduced heat, and less wear and tear, perfect for drivers racking up serious mileage. Real-world reports back this up. Fleets of rental Elantras have breezed past 100,000 miles without issues, and globally, similar Hyundai engines regularly exceed 180,000 miles in taxi service. Hyundai kept it refreshingly simple. Port injection, no complicated turbochargers, and a timing chain designed to last the life of the engine. Sure, there was a limited recall for piston rings in some 2019 to 2020 units, but Hyundai handled replacements swiftly under warranty. Bottom line, the Elantra is easy and cheap to maintain, rewarding owners who stick to simple upkeep. At number 6, we've got the 2018-2025 Honda Accord Hybrid, powered by Honda's legendary 2.0L LFA1 Atkinson cycle engine combined with the dual-motor IMMD hybrid system. This is basically an endurance champion in sedan form. Consumer Reports rates its reliability at an impressive 4 out of 5, and J.D. Power crowns it the most dependable mid-size sedan, period. Real-world evidence backs this up. Fleet operators and sales reps have clocked Accord hybrids at jaw-dropping mileages, including one standout example with over 597,000 miles. Original engine intact, just 2 battery replacements. What makes it last? The LFA1 rarely revs beyond 4,000 RPM, with electric motors handling hard launches. Honda's own studies confirm this cuts internal engine wear dramatically. Plus, at just $400 a year in average maintenance, lowest in the segment, owning this high-mileage superstar is as wallet-friendly as it is reliable. At number 5, we have the 2018 to 2023 Lexus GX460, a luxury SUV with a surprisingly tough old-school heart, the legendary 4.6L V8. Now, this isn't your typical delicate luxury engine. It's essentially the little brother to the Land Cruiser's 5.7L V8, sharing the same bulletproof DNA. It's built rugged from the ground up, forged steel crank, dual chain-driven cams, and a beefy 6-bolt main bearing setup, meaning it's practically overbuilt for the power it makes. But here's what really makes it special. Studies show a stunning 21% of GX460s reach 250,000 miles. That's insanely high for any luxury SUV. Owners often keep these for over 15 years without any significant engine trouble. It's engineered for decades of hard use, whether on highways, off-road trails, or towing heavy loads. Even after 200,000 miles, this engine still runs with typical Lexus smoothness. Yes, there's minor stuff, like occasional exhaust manifold ticks, but nothing major. And that's the kicker. This engine routinely outlasts the rest of the SUV, offering unmatched peace of mind for long-term ownership. But what if I told you the next engine has less than half the horsepower and might just last twice as long? At number 4, we've got the 2018 to 2023 Toyota Corolla with the humble but heroic 1.8L i4 2ZR FE engine, aka the set it and forget it engine of the compact car world. This thing is so reliable, it's become a running joke on car forums. Your Corolla might outlive you. And honestly, they're not wrong. This 1.8-liter isn't flashy. It makes just over 130 horsepower. But that's kind of the point. It's not chasing thrills, it's chasing 500,000 miles. And it's winning. With a timing chain, dual VVTi, and no turbo or direct injection gimmicks to complicate things. The 2ZR FE is a masterclass in durability through simplicity. Taxi fleets worldwide beat on these engines daily, and yet they keep going with just oil changes and the occasional spark plug. Even better, RepairPal rates it number 1 out of 36 compact cars for reliability, with annual ownership costs around $360. Known issues? Practically none, unless you count the rare high-mileage Valvematic hiccup. At number 3, it's the 2023-2025 Toyota Prius with the 2.0L M20A FXS hybrid engine, a masterclass in quiet longevity. This engine is built to last, with design choices that scream zero-drama ownership. We're talking 14.1 compression, dual port, and direct injection, piston oil jets, and a beltless layout, all aimed at thermal efficiency over 40% and wear reduction from the jump. Consumer Reports gives the 23 Prius a perfect 5.5 reliability score, while Reddit posts and forums already show older Prius hybrids topping 500,000 miles on original engines. The M20A FXS? It's from that same bulletproof DNA, now just smarter and more refined. Complaints? Practically none. Only 12 for the entire 2023 model year, and not a single engine failure entry. Routine maintenance is cheap, just $408 a year, and straightforward. Before we get to the ultimate survivor, let's talk about an engine that's been through more police chases than most people have oil changes. At number 2, we have the 2018-2023 Dodge Charger, packing the rock-solid 3.6L Pentastar V6, an engine that survived police chases, Middle Eastern deserts, and millions of hard-driven fleet miles. But here's what really makes it special. It combines V6 economy with near V8 toughness. Police and rental fleets routinely put these Chargers through over 100,000 miles of brutal, high-speed, stop-and-go punishment. Yet this Pentastar often sails past 200,000 without a hiccup. With an aluminum block, robust cooling systems built specifically for extended idling, and virtually no fussy maintenance, no timing belts, just simple spark plugs every 100K. This engine is the definition of low-maintenance reliability. Sure, you might occasionally deal with manageable hiccups like rocker arm wear, oil cooler leaks, or water pump replacements, but nothing an attentive owner can't easily handle. And here's the kicker. Often the Pentastar V6 outlives everything else on the Charger, giving you peace of mind knowing your engine might just outlast the car itself. At number 1, we have the 2020-2025 Toyota Land Cruiser 300, powered by the remarkable 3.3L F33A FTV diesel V6. Replacing the legendary V8 wasn't easy, but Toyota nailed it. Early real-world results confirm it. One Australian mining fleet, LC300, clocked over 212,000 kilometers in just 31 months without needing a single internal repair. Here's the secret. Toyota engineered this V6 diesel from the ground up for extreme longevity. It has a forged steel crankshaft, fracture-split connecting rods, and piston oil squirters, ensuring internal temperatures stay low and components remain lubricated under heavy use. A dual-loop, cold EGR system not only reduces emissions, but drops exhaust temps by 120 degrees Celsius, significantly extending turbocharger life. Car Complaints shows virtually zero engine issues, a rarity for such high-stress applications. Owners are already trusting these Land Cruisers to surpass the previous generation's proven 250,000-mile track record. Now that you've seen which engines last forever, don't fall for the ones that won't. Our next video exposes 20 sedans Consumer Reports says to avoid. Click here to see why.